Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Wall Street from Main Street podcast. Today we'll be featuring Wayne Allen Root, former classmate of Barack Obama and author of this new book, Ultimate Obama Survival Guide. Wayne, welcome to our show.
Hey, John. Yeah, it's the Ultimate Obama Survival Guide. It's been number one for almost every day the last 4 weeks in Amazon in 3 categories: finance, politics, and economics. And last week, I'm proud to report, we hit the top 50 out of every hardcover nonfiction book in America, every category: women's books and fitness books and cookbooks, everything. And I believe it was the number one political book in the country at all the bookstores around the United States. So we're really on a run here with the Ultimate Obama Survival Guide.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like a great book. I have my personal copy right now, and I love what's in it. You talk about gold, medical, survival, investing in medical, oil and gas, and you have it. One thing is tell them a little bit about who you interviewed, actually.
Well, here's what I did with this book. First of all, I painted a picture. I let people know that you're dealing with a criminal in Barack Obama. I believe he is a thug Chicago politician who is out to literally destroy business in this country and sow doubt on capitalism so that everybody begs for government to save them. And in a panic, as the economy's collapsing, he figures everybody will agree to allow government to save them and allow government to grow much bigger, and that's the way you turn America into a socialist nation. That's what's happening. And I'm his college classmate, and that's the plan that was developed 30 years ago by my classmates at Columbia University when Obama was there at the same time as me, John. So I have no doubts in my mind. This is a purposeful plan. Don't kid yourself. And what I've been saying all along is it's the Obama axis of evil that destroys business. It's taxation, regulation, unionization, litigation, IRS intimidation, demonization, and strangulation. And looky what we find. All of a sudden, this massive scandal with the IRS. I told everyone that Obama is using the IRS to audit every businessman and every conservative donor in this country. And it turns out I was the one guy screaming in the wilderness, and I was right. This is Chicago thug politics. And by the way, they went after Jewish groups who were pro-Israel. Now it turns out today the Justice Department of the Obama administration went after Associated Press reporters and pulled all their phone records without their knowledge. I mean, this has gone too far. This is an out-of-control, arrogant president, and he's got to be stopped now before Americans lose all of their constitutional rights. So I wrote a book, to answer your question, that is about how bad this man really is and the plan that was developed at Columbia and what his plans are to take over this country and just wipe out capitalism and wipe out small business. And then most of the rest of the book, 450 pages, most of it is solutions. It's an 18-point plan, literally, to make money and profit while Obama's taking the economy down. And then I went out and interviewed 18 of the richest men in America, some of them worth $100 million or more, a couple of them worth $1 billion, and asked them what their exact game plan is for the average middle-class person to survive and thrive and prosper under Obama. And they gave me their plans. And so it really turned out to be a fantastic, I call it a work of art for the average person that wants to learn how to protect their assets and make a little bit of money in the next 4 years, no matter how bad the economy gets. And that was what it went into, the Ultimate Obama Survival Guide.
Yeah, definitely. And one of them actually is Dr. Marc Faber, Dr. Doom himself. So
yeah, he's a brilliant. One of the
great.
brightest men in the world as far as economists go. I put him in the top 5 with my hero, Jim Rogers. You know, I put Faber right up there with Rogers. So we really got some amazing finds and some amazing friends and some people who really understand money. Because I knew, you know, the average liberal, the average media guy would scoff at Wayne Root, a small businessman, you know, with common sense telling you what his 18-point plan is. So I wanted to see what the richest men in America would say, and guess what I found out? I was pleasantly surprised and honored to find out that the richest men in America agree with me on almost everything I recommended in my 18-point plan.
Yeah, definitely. I can say I agree, but I'm not one of the richest men in America.
But you're probably a smart guy with common sense, and you know what? Guys like you and me should be running the country, not the egghead intellectual Ivy Leaguers like Barack Obama and his crew, who are just destroying this country. They know nothing about money. They know nothing about business. They know nothing about raising money. All they know about is how you suck money away from the people who have it and hand it to the government and then redistribute it to the poor people who don't have any idea how to create a job or make a dollar, and you give it to them because they'll continue to vote for Barack Obama. You know who those policies remind me of? Fidel Castro and Hugo Chavez in Venezuela. This is how you run a communist nation.
Yeah, well, in terms of what you described, I would call that community organizing.
Exactly. That's what he's good at. So, community organizing. There you go.
So, and the funny thing is, getting into your book, you talk a lot about gold. Of course, if any of you haven't looked at the news the past couple of days, what Wayne Allyn Root was referring to was the IRS Tea Party scandal, how this is admitted that the IRS was targeting Tea Party members, and Wayne Allyn Root just gave us the other news. Now they're targeting pro-Israel groups and stuff. But
wait, let's go a step further. And they targeted me starting in 2011, January of 2011, as one of the most outspoken critics in America, and tried to bankrupt me literally with legal fees and accounting fees, and distract me and intimidate me and keep me from coming back after Obama in the media like I do so often. And it didn't work. As a matter of fact, I wrote my new book, The Ultimate Obama Survival Guide, while under IRS attack. It didn't bother me. I just got right back up and dusted myself off and went right back at him because I'm a New Yorker, and I don't take to intimidation at all. You can't intimidate me. So it's individuals. That's the thing the press hasn't gotten around to yet. It's individuals, not just Tea Party groups. It's the people, the speakers, the outspoken critics in the media. And I even found out a new one a few minutes ago because my story is the lead story at Fox News. And so I've been getting emails all day since the story came out. One of them said, Wayne, they're targeting Mormons. And I said, what do you mean? How would you target Mormons? This is what I said in an email to a total stranger. How would you target a Mormon? He said, it's easy. The IRS knows exactly who's Mormon in the United States. I said, really? How would you know that? And he said, Wayne, everyone that's in the Mormon church gives 10 to 15% in tithe to the Mormon church, the Church of Latter-day Saints. It's all in your income tax return. All they have to do is find returns for people who give to the Church of Latter-day Saints, and they know who Mormons are. And most of us gave money to Mitt Romney in the last election. Well, starting in January, he said, all my friends are Mormon. Everyone I do business with is Mormon. I live in Utah. Everyone I know has gotten audit notices from the IRS since Obama won the election and Romney lost the election. Don't you think that's strange, considering me and my friends have never been audited in our lives? Everyone I know is being audited for the first time in their life. Don't you think they might have picked us out of our IRS tax returns based on our charitable contributions? Do you have any idea how explosive this is? This is Nazi-like. If you are targeting people based on their race or religion, based on being Jewish or pro-Israel, based on being Mormon, you are absolutely committing crimes against the citizens of the United States of America. This is huge.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like the enemies list on steroids.
Yeah, this is Nixon. I mean, this is much worse than anything Nixon ever did. He was involved in a third-rate burglary, and the articles of impeachment, so many people forget, the articles of impeachment were about both Watergate and Nixon using the IRS to silence his political enemies. And so here we've got Benghazi, which isn't a third-rate burglary, John. It's the cover-up of the murder of 4 Americans, including an ambassador and 2 former Navy SEALs. Huge, combined with the same as Nixon, using the IRS to go after your political enemies. And I see Obama already, based on his press conference, he's just throwing the IRS under the bus so that the deal doesn't lead back to him. But there's no way in hell that IRS agents would take it upon themselves to target people that donated to Mitt Romney or who were outspoken critics of Obama unless they got orders from the Obama White House.
Well, I would have to say one thing. I like the idea of throwing the IRS under the bus, but not this way. I'd like to throw them under the bus and into the unemployment.
Exactly. But you know what's funny is even though I've been through a 2-year struggle with the IRS under attack night and day and did nothing wrong, had a perfect 30-year spotless record, never in trouble one day in my life with the IRS, never had a tax lien, never even had to make payments. There was never a payment plan. I just paid what I owed, and the IRS left me alone, and everything was fine. Even though they attacked me, I'm not mad at the IRS. I'm mad at Barack Obama because I know they did it upon orders of the president as sure as I'm standing here. I'm his biggest critic. I'm his Columbia College classmate. I talk about his plans to destroy the nation. I've just written this book, The Ultimate Obama Survival Guide. You and I both know, John, that this was not some obscure, out-of-the-blue stranger at the IRS saying, let's go get Wayne Root. Why would they do that? It could only be on orders from the Obama White House.
Yeah, and well, not only that, if you look at, your history too. I think they have an easy time of painting someone as just a country club Republican like John McCain, but you are actually the 2008 Libertarian vice president. So you are more of an independent voice than a lot of the Fox News critics.
Well, yeah, and I'm a Tea Party Republican, and they've proven they hate Tea Partiers, so we can see what's happening here. I mean, it's a fact that a billionaire from Idaho by the name of Frank Vandersloot, that's a fact, put up like $1 million for Mitt Romney. I believe that was the amount he donated. $1 million, and agreed to be in an ad for Mitt Romney. And within 60 days, IRS audit, just like me, and a visit from the Labor Department wanting to check out his factories to see if there were labor violations. Come on, folks. We all, I may have been born yesterday, John, but I wasn't born in the last 5 minutes. It's pretty obvious that this is Obama's attack. This is not the IRS. You don't star in a Romney ad and the IRS wakes up and goes, let's target that guy. It's Obama's people who call the IRS and say, see the 6 guys in that ad? They're all billionaires. They don't like Obama. They've embarrassed your president. Go get them, IRS. That's obviously what happened.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I definitely agree. This is pretty bad. This is definitely targeting. But one thing you talk about, this is always my favorite subject as of late. Of course, you just prior to our conversation, you could tell before we went on live, but gold, right now it's taken a little bit of a hit, but in this environment, I definitely see gold going up. I can't tell you when because the market, I think, is a little confused, but what do you talk about? Why should people buy gold?
Well, it's a 450-page book, and believe it or not, the smallest part of the book is the attack on Obama and painting the picture of what a terrible, terrible, awful, evil human being we've got as President of the United States. The largest part of the book is telling you the solutions, what to do to protect your assets and to make some money. And the largest part of that large part is about gold. Gold and precious metals are absolutely the foundation of everything that I believe in. And I've come late to this game. You're not talking to a gold bug here. You're talking to someone who didn't even know from gold 5-6 years ago and who really didn't believe in it, never heard about it, never knew anyone who was a big gold fan. And it suddenly hit my radar screen based on all the debt of the United States of America, knowing that we have, debt plus unfunded liabilities of over $100 trillion, and there's no way to ever pay it back. What's the one way to invest in that debt? It's gold. If you're a smart, common sense person, even a small businessman like me with a thick skull finally figured out that we can't pay this debt back. We're headed for crisis after crisis and economic decline and perhaps even economic collapse. And no matter which one of those is the case, decline or crisis or collapse or just inflation, gold is the answer. So, I'm a contrarian, John. I believe when everyone is screaming, run, I should walk. And when everyone is running out of a theater, I should run in it. And I've done well my entire life by being contrarian and never following the herd, never following the sheep. And everybody and their grandmother thinks because the stock market is up, they should buy stocks. And because gold is down, they should buy gold. Well, you know what that tells me? Throughout history, whatever people don't want is the valuable thing, that's gold. And whatever they think is perfect and can't go down is about to crash, and that's the stock market. So I'm a big gold fan. I think the more it goes down, the more you should buy with both fists. It's a contrarian play. It makes sense. Even when it was at its most popular, the amount of people in gold versus the stock market is like, 1 for every 1,000. So gold has never been a bubble. There's no way it's a bubble, and there's no way the gold bull run is over because we have the same debt as we did 2 months ago and 2 years ago, except it's worse. And so Obama will never, ever, ever cut spending. Never. Do you hear me? Ever, 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 John. Spending will never be cut under Barack Obama. He will use accounting tricks to make believe spending's cut while he raises spending because his voters demand checks from government. And so we're never going to cut spending. So if that's the case, gold's the way to go. And pretty much every one of the 18 people I interviewed in the book all agreed that gold was the way to go. They all agree that should be your number one investment. Not everything you invest, but between 15 to 35% of your entire assets should be in gold. I think the higher number, I think at least 25 to 35%. And some of us out here are starting to think 50% is a good number for gold because we got a lot of problems in this country, and I believe there'll be nothing but crisis and decline in front of us. Gold is the answer.
Well, not only that, like the biggest joke of the market, in my opinion, is they say that the Federal Reserve says it has a clear exit strategy.
Yeah.
And I was like, first of all, they won't be able to fund the debt because they can't tax the U.S. citizens. A lot of them are broke. They're heavily in debt, whether it's student loan or credit card debt. And would you also agree with me? All the derivatives on the bank's balance sheets and the exposure to Greek debt, not just Greek but European debt, there's no way they can stop this.
Yeah, there's no way. Listen, it's not just the United States. I mean, gold isn't just about America. It's about the world. You know, you could buy gold in China and India and everywhere else. You could buy it in New Guinea. So gold is about the world, and the world is broke and awash in debt. So if you look at China, there's plenty of debt. If you look at Europe, massive debt that makes the United States look like we're pretty healthy by comparison, which is why people are still dumping money in the dollar because, you know, Spain and Italy and Greece and Cyprus or in France are in such trouble that the American dollar actually looks good by comparison. So the only way to save Europe is to spend more money and to have more stimulus and to have more bailouts and to literally print more, you know, money, QE 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 like quantitative easing. Their central banks have to do what our central banks do. And then there's Japan, one of the world's big economies, I believe number 3 behind the U.S. and China. And Japan had just announced the world's biggest, percentage-wise, quantitative easing, you know, meaning central banker, you know, money easing. So Japan's going to literally put out a money printing that's far bigger than anything we've ever done in the history of America with an economy that's 1/3 the size of America. So all over the world, you've got debt and money printing. And the answer to those two problems are gold and precious metals, gold and silver and platinum and palladium. And by the way, the key isn't just buying it. It's knowing when to buy it, how to buy it, where to buy it, and where to store it. And in my book, The Ultimate Obama Survival Guide, I give you all of that information, how to buy it, where to buy it, when to buy it, where to store it. Keep that in mind. That's the key to gold. Just buying it is almost immaterial compared to those 4 important steps.
Yeah. And another thing is you talk about my favorite topic you have in your book is the medical industry and how you can make a lot of money off Obamacare because according to my research, a lot of their profits are protected because they're getting subsidized and there's also the aging population. Can you explain a little bit about your views on the medical industry? I would say more pharmaceutical.
Yeah. Well, I would say that Obamacare is a disaster that's meant to destroy the United States economy, and it's doing it. The taxes will destroy America. The 15 million healthcare workers that are going to be unionized will destroy America. You know, it's just a disaster from beginning to end. And how about the bill of health insurance? $20,000 a year is going to be the average price for a family of 5 in 2016, according to the IRS. $20,000 a year, but the average American, John, only makes $40,000 a year. How can he spend $20,000 or she spend $20,000 on health care? And the answer is you can't. This is Obama's attempt to make the entire country a ward of the state and let the government buy your health insurance or pay for your health insurance. Therefore, everyone will be on the government dole. But you can make money on all of this. 40 million people who aren't covered by health insurance are now going to be covered by the government. And all the rest of us are going to get paid for by the government because we're going to be on the dole. The entire middle class will ask the government to pay their bill. So if the government's buying, guess what? I want to be owning the stock of whatever they're buying because they don't care about price and they will waste all their money and they will overpay. They'll pay, you know, $150 for a widget that costs 10 cents to fix your toilet bowl. That's what the Pentagon's famous for. Well, now they're going to do it in the healthcare industry. So I want to own healthcare stocks, in particular pharmaceutical stocks, and specifically, I'd like to own pharmaceutical stocks that deal outside the United States, even more so than companies that deal with Obamacare. I want to deal with pharmaceutical companies that are involved with China and India and Chile and Argentina and Brazil and Russia. You know, there's a great big world out there. Singapore, Hong Kong, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia. I want to own pharmaceutical companies that are going to take these young populations all over the world, and as they age, they're going to make more and more money selling them drugs. So that's what I would plow my money into, pharmaceutical companies that are global in scope and deal with both America and the rest of the world.
Yeah, definitely. That's actually one of my favorite. I can't wait to read it. the book. Right now I'm reading Money, Bank Credit, and Economic Cycles by Jesus de Soto, but your book's actually next on my list. And one thing I love about your solutions is reducing your tax burden. That is my favorite thing, is the moving to different tax states, which is actually a smart way if you own your own business, or basically you work on a border state and you can move 20 minutes to another state.
Right. Well, that's, that was my idea, and of course the 18 millionaires and billionaires all seem to agree. They all feel like, or felt like when I interviewed them, that you want to get your tail out of New York or California or New Jersey or Illinois or Maryland, high tax states. You want to be in low tax states. Like if you live in Maryland, you want to go across the border to Virginia. If you live in California, you want to go across the border to Nevada. If you live on the border with Texas, you want to go across the border to Texas. If you live in any state around Florida, you want to go to Florida. Those are the low tax or no tax states in this country that make sense, that have giant population gains. People are moving there in droves, and they're voting with their feet. And they're right, John. In the end, a lot of my billionaires pointed out, because they all moved to no tax states. They all live in Texas, Florida, or Nevada. They all pointed out that over the course of 40 years of working as a middle-class person, if you live in Nevada versus California, you'll have an extra $500,000 on the day you retire. Who doesn't want an extra $500,000? And if you invested correctly, that $500,000 could become $1 million on the day you retire. Who doesn't need an extra $1 million, John? So the answer is move to a place not where you make more money, but where you keep more money.
Yeah, that's definitely a great thing. Actually, where I live, you're seeing a big exodus from Maryland to Virginia because of the millionaires tax, and people just don't learn. Capital goes to where it's treated best.
Right, and that same thing, it holds true in New Jersey, Connecticut, and New York, Massachusetts. Those are all states that are bleeding millionaires. It's not like they lose population from poor people. Poor people move into states like California and the Northeast, but rich people are leaving them in droves, and you know what that means? That means there's going to be nobody left to pay the bills, so the taxes are going to have to go higher and higher, and the debt's going to go higher and higher. More reasons to get out of those states and more reasons to own gold and silver.
Well, another thing also is if rich people are moving their personal property over there, well, they're buying new property or whatever, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They're probably moving their business. So if you're a worker, you might want to go there because businesses are also, you see Apple, they're not starting up their manufacturing center in California. They're going to Texas.
Well, actually, Amazon is going to Reno, Nevada. So it just goes to show you, they all look to avoid taxes. Everybody does. And it's the greatest dirty secret in all the world is that everybody rich with a brain is trying to keep the money from the clutches of government. And who's getting stuck with the bills? The middle class and small business. They're getting killed in this Obama environment. This Obama economy is aimed to help big business and the poor. And who's abandoned? Everybody in the middle gets abandoned. So it's a sad situation, and you got to find a way to offset it. And I give you 18 great ways in the Ultimate Obama Survival Guide.
And one last thing is just watching politicians. Every time they talk about cuts, they always talk about how we need, quote-unquote, money for education and education this, education that. You did not actually educate your kids through government at all. What is your response to every time they say, we need more money for education?
Well, my response is to laugh at them because, the public school system is a joke, and the kids educated in the public school system in many cases aren't even qualified to work at McDonald's. And my daughter was homeschooled. I have 4 kids, actually, but they're all young, except for my daughter, who's 21 years old. So she's the oldest, and she was the first experiment, as you might say. We homeschooled all of our children. She was homeschooled her entire life. She's now a straight-A student at Harvard. And actually, at this moment, she's a straight-A student at Oxford University in England because she took her junior year off from Harvard to go to Oxford, and she got straight A's there, too. And now she's coming back to Harvard to finish up her senior year. So a girl who was never in a public school classroom in her entire life, or any other classroom for that matter, was accepted at all the best colleges in America, including Harvard and Stanford, and now Oxford, and has gotten straight A's at all of them and won the John Harvard Award as one of the best students at Harvard. And in the end, it worked. And she was educated in my hometown of Las Vegas, where, the average public school student isn't qualified to be a valet parker. So good luck at public schools. It doesn't work. No amount of money will save you if you don't care about school and your parents don't care about you, about educating you. You cannot create. Let me just ask the average person listening right now. Did any of you know what your teacher was making when you went to school? This is such an absurd argument. When you were in third grade, did you think about all day long how much salary your teacher made? Do you think she would have been a different teacher for $80,000 a year versus $40,000? Money has nothing to do with a good teacher or student learning. Nothing. And the proof is that Catholic school teachers and private school teachers make much less money than public school teachers, and yet the students turn out much better. Why is that? Because they've got two parents that care. All you need to educate children, John, is two parents that give a damn. And if you have that, it doesn't matter if the teacher makes $18,000 a year or $80. It'll be meaningless. And if your kid doesn't have a parent that cares, it also doesn't matter if the teacher makes 18 or 80. Nothing you do will save that kid. So you don't want to pay teachers 80 or 100 or 200,000 a year, and you certainly don't want to pay them pensions of 100,000 a year for not working for 40 years. None of it helps, and it's bankrupting the taxpayers. You need school choice. You need to create competition for the public schools, and you need to either homeschool or charter school or private school for your kid. That's what you need to choose. Anything's better than public school, and the only way to achieve it is to make it tax deductible and offer school choice and school vouchers. Those are my answers in my book, The Ultimate Obama Survival Guide.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And we need to go, if you ask me, we also need to go back to an economy, what we used to have under capitalism, where even if you didn't have a great education, you could still make it. The older generation of my family, a lot of people did not even make it past the 7th grade, but they did well for themselves.
Yeah, but those days are gone, and you have to admit it. They're gone, and they can't come back.
Yeah.
And the reason they can't come back is we have a global economy now, and there are people in Korea and China and Singapore and wherever else in the world, Indonesia, willing to work for 50 cents an hour or 50 cents a day. And that's what you're competing with throughout the world. So the days of paying factory workers $50 an hour, sadly, are over. There's nothing you can do with global competition. You can't close the borders of the United States and not allow any goods to come in from other countries. So those days are gone. You know, if you can.
Well,
but
Germany, though, has a strong manufacturing base, and they have pretty high wages.
Well, we'll see how long that lasts. I know very little about Germany. I know about America, and I know in America the days of factory workers getting paid big money are over. It just doesn't work. And the reason why it's over, by the way, is because, you know, you killed the goose that laid the golden egg. It's fine to pay people well while they're working, but you can't pay them well while they retire. You can't give people $100,000 pensions. That's what we tried with the auto workers, and that's why GM and Chrysler were broke, because of those pensions and those union wages in retirement and free health care for life. All those auto companies are bankrupt or were bankrupt. Now they're back in business again because the government, you know, subsidized them, gave them bailouts, and orders of government orders of GM cars are up 79% in the last year. So GM's whole resurgence is a fraud. It's government buying cars after government bailed out GM, and they're afraid to admit it's a failure. So they're propping up the company with low interest rates, artificially low interest rates, and gigantic orders of cars for government employees. We're really living in a Ponzi scheme, John. It's sad, but I do give you 18 ways in my new book, The Ultimate Obama Survival Guide, so you can personally thrive and prosper and make money on all the crazy green energy ideas that don't work of the Obama administration. They won't work, but I'll show you how to make some money on them so that you and your family survive. That's what's important to me, each individual doing well.
All right. And if people want to find out more about you, how can they do so?
Well, my book has been the #1 book in Amazon in several categories for the last 4 weeks, and you can get it at Amazon.com. You can buy it at any fine bookstore like Barnes & Noble, Costco, or Sam's Club. And you can also find out more about me at my website, root4america.com, as in Wayne Root. It's Root, R-O-O-T, foramerica.com.
All right. It was nice having you on, and we look forward to speaking to you more in the future.
Thank you, John. It's been a pleasure having you, having myself on your show. Thank you for inviting me as a guest, and I hope you enjoy my book as you start it the next few days, The Ultimate Obama Survival Guide. Thanks, John.